So she can do Roger and JP. They do the BAB show, and then they do another show in Florida. Simulcast. So she's going back to do that.
We are live.
We are on? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I took advantage of our big break to try and figure out how Facebook works.
And go peepees.
And what did you learn?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Perfect.
Okay. I'm going to paste this. Although I don't know what just came up is going to take me to your... I don't know. I'm just going to paste it. I don't care.
Yeah, good.
Paste it anywhere. Who cares?
Yeah, if you need help, I can help you.
All right. I'm working
Hey, everyone.
on sharing it back.
Hi, kids. Now, what happened? Should we be worried?
About what? About we're under attack or something?
Yeah.
I don't know. From what I understand, this whole neighborhood went out, and now it's back. That's what it was explained to me.
And nobody knows why.
I wonder if the school was affected. There's a high school, Division
behind
Avenue
us.
High School. I wonder if they went out. Yeah, we're getting everyone back. Hey, everyone, thanks for sticking with us. It was kind of weird. It only went out for like a couple of seconds, but the whole entire building went out, and then we had to call Mike O'Toole, and he had to reschedule us. That's like one of the bad things about Boxcast, which works great, except we have to reschedule everything.
Nobody knows.
Boxcast?
Yeah, nobody knows what Sally's talking about.
The streaming service we use.
Well,
It's that's the program that allows us to stream our show.
Tom Galati said, "Oh, I didn't even realize you were off."
oh, that's
He's like,
fun.
just kidding.
That's fun.
You want me to share it for you on Facebook?
No, I officially quit.
Why? It's just Facebook.
Yeah, you could do the Facebook thing.
Yeah.
I was trying to.
I
was trying to do a tweet
I don't know how to
that
tweet.
that you could click, touch the tweet, and it would take you to the Facebook. Because I don't do anything on Facebook for the most part except plug my gigs,
Right.
and you'll never know if it works or anything. So that was fun. Carrie's great. She was great. Say hello
Yeah.
to the boys over at WBAB. They're competing with us, right?
Yeah,
well,
I suppose. Yeah. She'll just take them out.
All you people in Tampa, hello.
Welcome to our show. This is three people who don't know how to handle technology. That's the name of this show today.
Well, that means everybody in the neighborhood that lost power, that meant everybody's computers went out. Anybody that was in the middle of a program that didn't
That's
have
right.
autosave lost everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that sucks.
So now we're.
Remember the old days when the worst thing would be losing your wallet, and you usually found it anyway, But who knows? I don't know anything. Hey, I think I just got a gig in Fort Myers. Is that near Tampa?
I don't know. Is it?
It's amazing to be this old and have no idea where Fort Myers or Tampa or
Fort Myers is on the other side. It's by like
no man's land over there.
Yeah, but it's it's
Isn't that
nice.
automatic? You hit a certain age, you just automatically know Florida.
Yeah, you would think
everybody just ends up there.
you would just download the map in your head. I still don't know where Boca is in relation to Fort Lauderdale, relation to Delray Beach, relation. I mean, Jacksonville's at the top, Miami's at the bottom, and everything else is in the middle.
And you just booked it now?
No, there's a club down there, and they came calling, and they don't all come calling, but I'm doing February 1st, a week from tomorrow night. I'm doing Newtown Theater, which is I love doing these theaters that are old vaudeville houses and old movie houses. They're like 300 seats, 400, 500.
Yeah.
And they're perfect for comedy. They really are just right. And the backstage is like, Burns and Allen were probably back there,
Right,
so it's,
right.
It's fun. People are up close and it's easy to kill them, so.
It's easy to kill 'em.
And White Plains Comedy Club is a new place, February 8th, which is, it's booked by Chrissy Mayer's boyfriend, husband, whatever he is. Chrissy Mayer, the redhead? She's crazy. She's got a show on Anthony's Compound called The Wet Spot, which is the greatest
that's
name.
really funny.
The last time I did that, I'm doing it next Monday, and the last time I did it, I was sitting next to it. I don't know whether she was a stripper or a hooker or a porn star. One of those people that's so much more at ease being naked than she is with the English language, and she wasn't even foreign, just
That's great.
what word comes after this word, but just a hoot, you try and be polite. And I'm going to Uncle Vinny's. I'm turning 72.
And
Valentine's
yeah,
Day.
just a few weeks. Yeah,
Going
72.
to Uncle Vinny's Comedy Club in South Jersey, which is always fun. That place is a hoot.
Yeah.
You know, I've known those guys I've known everybody for way too long.
3 hours south of Tampa, says one of our viewers here, Greg DiFilippo.
Wow.
3 hours south of Tampa.
I always think everything on that coast is so close, and just
No, it's quite the.
Yeah, it's bigger than. Yeah, I'm with you. It's bigger
Even
than
going
you think,
across, like the narrow way takes. a
Yeah, I remember
while.
driving to Florida when you're in high school and college, and
Yeah.
you get to the Florida line, like wow, and meanwhile you're halfway there,
Right.
you know,
Right,
'cause
right.
it's so friggin' far,
Right.
you know.
All right, you know what? Let's do the. We didn't do the sponsors because we had that little.
I think
little
Ken put it up there.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he
Oh,
wrote
on
the
the
whole thing
last
up
one.
there. Yeah.
All right, I'll just quick. Bella Vista Pizza over there in Plainview, 433-4464. Gina Kinjemi Coffin for all your real estate needs. 631-495-7696. Of course, Knockem Dead Comedy. Go to knockemdeadcomedy.com to see our full schedule, information on who we are and what we do, and of course, booking information. Catch us Thursday, January 30th at 317 Main in Farmingdale, doing our mob-themed murder mystery show. It's going to be a lot of fun. That's our most popular show. And don't forget all the great shows here at Governor's Comedy Club this weekend. Mike Yard will be here, Governor's in Levittown, this weekend. John Ziegler's in the Little Room, out in at the brokerage in Belmore, Cypher Sounds, and at McGuire's. Petey DeBro will be there this weekend. And, of course, Anthony Rodia. He is playing the Late Show Saturday and Sunday he's doing. And of course, as we all know, Anthony is just kicking ass everywhere he goes. Are you familiar with Anthony at all? Have we talked about him
You
here?
just promoted 19 people, and I did not know one name, and that's nothing against them. That's everything against me. You know?
Mike Yard. You're not familiar with Mike Yard?
Mike Yard.
Yeah.
That's a good description of my penis. No, but I'm not out there. Right. I'm not going to comedy clubs.
Anthony works with. He's got Goomba Johnny working with him.
I saw Goomba Johnny for the first time in a million years the other night, and it took me a second. I'm old. I haven't seen him in a long time. He was with
Yeah.
He's with
He's with Anthony.
Tara, and
yeah.
and I met Tara's soon-to-be husband, and I never could think of her last name.
So
I said,
chemistry,
are you still engaged to this guy? And he's like, Jackie, it's Goomba. I'm like, oh Jesus, your memory is just a step behind your voice. So as you're saying hello, you realize you're saying hello to the wrong person.
Yeah. Well,
he's a very nice guy.
so John and Tara are working. They Anthony. They work with him. They travel all over the place with him.
John is her.
John is just another
Johnny, she's talking
Goomba.
about Goomba.
Goomba.
Oh, Goomba Johnny works with Tara.
And
Yeah.
they both Anthony hired them to brings them along.
Anthony
Anthony's
Rodia is the headliner.
The
and
headliner.
Johnny features Tara.
What happened to? I thought you were talking about Mike Yardstick.
We started with him, and then we moved on to Anthony Rodia.
Okay. Well, God bless them all.
Anthony, I'm curious to get your take on this. So this guy Anthony Rodia, he he started out years ago. He's going to be 40 this year.
It's that old, huh?
That's right. Started out years ago doing comedy. I don't know how. It obviously didn't go great for him because he got out of it and he went and got quote unquote a real job and
That happens.
yeah, and he lived his life, but he missed it. So what he decided to do.
It's heroin.
Well, yeah, heroin and pussy. It
It
happens.
is. Well,
So before he came back out, what he did was he studied all this social media, all this stuff that we have no idea.
Yeah.
Studied it, what age group signs on it, what.
so he
particular times.
stepped in ready to.
Right.
Hit the ground running.
Right.
He did all this for a year. Then came in, but before he even came in, then he started making videos, and he made up a couple of characters, put out 2, 3, 4, 5-minute videos, one a day, and it completely caught on. Then he comes back as a stand-up, so he's headlining almost immediately. This guy hasn't even been back in the game for a year. He's sold out this week here, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. He's selling out this weekend at McGuire's. He's got Foxwoods in April almost sold out. He's selling out everywhere he goes. This guy just immediately just on fire.
I keep hearing about people doing that, and that's amazing. I mean, it's so funny because I do nothing with that, almost nothing. And in the early '80s, when I started, we spent hours and hours making flyers and putting on stamps and mailing everything forever and ever. And now you can hit 25,000 times as many people with 1/50th the effort.
Right.
And you don't do it because in your mind, you almost, it's almost like I'll walk because I can't believe this car is actually going to work type thing, which is so absurd,
Yeah.
But that's great. Somebody told me that I can't remember, but it's a story just like that they got a job opening for some guy down south that, sells out arenas that nobody's ever heard of, like.
It's amazing.
And they go up there and they've got 5 minutes. I'm sure this guy, if he's been doing it, he's but whatever works. Whatever gets them in the tent. It's all carnival barking. That's all it is.
But can you think of anybody that really kind of rose up that fast? So just immediately.
Well, the old version of that was having a good set on Johnny Carson. That was, but nothing was as immediate as
Well,
and now they're
world,
prepared for it. If the latest thing in town, they just push people aside and make room because it's all about making money and getting people in the tent.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, just to rise as quickly as he did and sell out on a Tuesday. I mean, who sells out on a Tuesday?
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And he wasn't even scheduled for the Tuesday until like a couple of days ago when they just opened it up, and then he sold out again.
Wow. And he's a New York guy.
Yeah, he lives right here in Franklin Square. He lives. I think he's originally from, was it New Rochelle, I believe it is.
Was he at the party the other night?
He was.
He was with
He was
Goomba,
sitting with Goomba and Tara.
Tara.
I just saw Tara and Goomba in passing,
Yeah.
I like her. She's cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's great.
funny.
Candace Tracy's her last name. Yeah. She's great.
Yeah, right. I can never remember that.
Yeah, we came last night. They were here, Tara and Goomba and Anthony. They're great show. But they're smart too because they have all three of them Italian, so they target that Italian audience. A lot of what they do targets them, and a lot of their jokes. And the Italians, they don't. They
I
make
was the
you
only
their own.
Irish one in there.
Yeah.
Like everyone, I just looked around. I'm like, there's a lot of Italian people in here.
Yeah, they embrace that. That's great. That's really great.
Sure, why not?
So, all right. So we thank Carrie for coming in. Men's Flaws and Menopause playing on Crackle TV, so you can download the Crackle app on your devices and check out Carrie.
Now, where's that? You say I know nothing about that. I remember the whole Crackle thing.
I never heard of it before.
I only
the
heard of
other
it
day.
because I think maybe the Seinfeld show maybe they were hand in hand starting together.
Yeah,
or
he
something like
started
that.
it on Crackle. Yeah, cars
and maybe
comedians.
maybe both. Maybe he started Crackle and Crackle started him. I'm not sure because I certainly never heard of it before that. But it's some I'm still getting to know what is Hulu. Who knows?
Right.
My mother's still trying to figure out a microwave.
What can you do? It's so funny trying to. Barbara was trying to heat something up in the toaster oven last night, and I was going to have a hamburger, and I wanted to toast the English muffin, but she had to do her thing in the toast. I said, in 1950, people had a toaster oven and they had a toaster.
Right.
It's 2020, and I can't toast something until we got every gadget in the world in this house except a toaster. You get so far ahead of yourself.
We have a toaster and a toaster oven and a microwave.
Yeah, and and they're not really. They should be interchangeable.
Standing making food all day long, like bottomless pits.
It's great.
I love burgers on an English muffin. I love that.
But it's so funny because part of the reason me and Barbara wound up being a couple is me making fun of George Foreman selling his grill on TV.
Yeah.
I did not make any money. I sell the grill, but I don't make money from the grill. And it would just go on. And we wound up, somebody gave us one, or somebody had one in their basement or something. So, we got to do this. And the grease goes everywhere.
Yeah.
There's a little tiny plastic thing that's supposed to catch
We
the
have the
grease.
same
It does,
thing.
But it rolls.
some
It
of it.
doesn't.
We've got a little mini one.
Right, and it rolls around the thing, and when it's done with the hamburger, the thing is like a wallet.
A grease pit.
So funny. I never said it would cook it good. I just said it would cook it. You put it in there and you
It's
forget
all over
about
the
it.
place.
I forgot all about it. I came back from vacation. I said, "Oh, my burgers are weird. They're really cooked."
I got all the grease. I'm not
That's a
counting.
good grill.
Hey, you're on the air. You're on the air. Who's this?
As good as it's cooked, I did not make no money from the grill.
Hello. You there?
Hello.
Oh, who's that?
It's Eric.
Oh, is it? She's like,
Yeah, what are you guys doing?
we had a power surge.
I heard.
The whole
Sons of
building went
bitches.
out.
A power surge. That sounds like we had an important meeting. No,
Power
we had a
surge.
blackout, is what it was.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
We made a.
Hi, Jackie.
Hello, whoever you are.
It's Eric.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh, it's your Eric.
It's our Eric. Yes.
Oh, I thought you said hello, Art. I can't tell your voice.
Clean the shit out of your ears.
Well, I never heard
Who's
your
the-
voice other than in person.
Is Carrie still there?
No, Carrie left.
But she
okay.
had to go. She can only stay till around noon. So
She's got something in the contract. She doesn't work blackouts.
No problem. I told my 15-year-old Jackie's first ever joke on stage about Maria and the father and the vagina and the mother, and he looked at me and he said, "Why?" He goes, "Why? Why would you tell me that joke?"
He didn't think it was funny, or he couldn't believe his father was
Well-
telling him the joke.
Oh, I told it perfectly. I even did the accents. Oh, Maria, you're saving the money. I love you
You're
so
not
much.
answering the question. Did he think it was funny?
What?
he doesn't.
No, I told it in front.
He
I told it in
doesn't
front of
want
his
a
mother.
father telling that joke in front of his mother. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, he just looked at me and said, "Why? Why?"
Hey, Joey Petroni.
Yeah,
I thought it was funny.
it's an odd choice, I have to admit. You know.
Yeah. No one would do that.
All right, I just want to see how you guys are doing. Have a great show. I'm almost
Thanks.
in Albany.
All
right.
Are you in Albany now?
No, I'm about a half hour outside.
Oh, okay.
That's as exciting
All right.
as it gets.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yes, Albany, yay!
Wow.
All right, you guys have a great show.
Thank
Thanks,
you, man.
Eric.
Suck it.
I went to college up at SUNY Albany.
That's I spent a couple
Shitty.
months there one night.
Yeah.
No, I worked there all the time for Tom Nietzsche. Used to have fun up there. And outside of Albany is Latham.
Yeah.
Worked some shows there.
Saratoga Springs. I lived for a little while.
I
Lake
love
George
that town.
is really close. Lake George is only like 15, 20 minutes away.
Right, worked some clubs up there, and I spent a couple of weeks of 3 summers on Snake Hill in Saratoga.
Okay. Snake Hill. I don't even know where that is.
It's right on Saratoga Lake.
Okay.
So
I thought it was in his pants.
The stone's throw from
Yeah,
the racetrack.
Come to Snake Hill.
Yeah, I really thought it was talking about his
2 of my
pants.
friends from childhood,
Sit on my Snake Hill.
two brothers, their father was a jockey who won the Triple Crown of racing in 1946, and so they were there for the race meeting every August.
Yeah.
They drag a couple of their friends up there, and we'd have just a free for all.
Yeah.
As much of a free for all as you have in 6th and 7th grade. They're
Yeah.
not exactly orgies, but if you kiss somebody, it was a story worth writing home about.
Yeah, I live really close to the racetrack, and I had this house where I had an apartment that I rented out, and it would cost. I would charge like $800 a month, other than the season, and then the season of the racetrack, you'd get like $1,000 a week. It was
Oh
crazy.
yeah, the prices were ridiculous.
Yeah, for like a 1-bedroom. Really, I mean, it was really nice, and it was like 2 steps away from the racetrack, but like that's a lot of money for a
Yeah,
whole
well,
week.
these guys, their father was, the family was rich, and they lived in a little place with a bunch of little houses where there'd be jockeys and outriders and agents, and it's a whole little. I think it'd be an amazing sitcom or some kind of show because they're all such characters. Because the racetrack is like 1% of the people make zillions of dollars, and everybody else,
Yeah.
arm wrestles for the peanuts.
Right.
It's crazy.
It's a beautiful racetrack, though.
Oh, gorgeous. Oh, man, it's...
So I was interested, in Carrie's here, you guys just, which I love, just basically sitting back and watching them just talk shop.
Right.
I love that. But but you talked about being on the road, in the early days and just, wanting to go home and not making money. But it's it intrigues me, not doing it, not experiencing this. It's got to be a really lonely life.
You didn't. In
At
those
first.
days, it was long distance calls was so expensive. You didn't call home,
Yeah.
and especially if you've been with your girlfriend a while, you didn't call home to say, "Hey, honey, how you doing?"
Yeah.
You only called home if it was, really, really urgent, and there was nothing to do. Either go to the mall or not. And I was never a guy that liked to shop or
Yeah, so you're just stuck in the hotel room.
So I just sit there and listen. I had my micro cassette and I listened to my show a couple times and write down some notes. But oh God, it's like watching paint dry because you didn't make any money.
Right.
The last thing you wanted to do out there was spend money.
Right.
So, but it was it only goes so far. Hey, I'm making money as a comedian. I'm cool. And after the second time you say that, it's like 9:30 in the morning and you're done with that rap,
Yeah.
It's not like the girls, sometimes the girls would flock, but much less than people would think, So,
But I guess, all right. But in your case, you eventually, because I'm thinking somewhat new comics. Again, they go out on the road where they don't know anybody. They're sitting with a comedian they might not know. You're probably eating dinner, just staring at the having the worst time of your life because you guys don't know each other. But eventually, like you talk about Richard Jenny and stuff, do you guys eventually become like a little bit of a circle of friends? And it makes it easier?
In the beginning, you knew everybody. I remember Robin Williams saying, when he first made the big time, the thing he missed the most was being in the car with the guys. Like any combination of us guys. I remember more from the first year or two of being in comedy than I remember the last 30 years. Like any combination of me and Nelson and Bartlett and Woods and Hawthorne and Minervini and Myers and Eddie Murphy and John Ferrantino and Jeff Zabrowski, like 3 or 4 guys, we'd have a gig. I remember Bob Wood saying, when you're a comedian, it's the 4th night, you're going over the George Washington Bridge and it feels perfectly normal, And you just get in the car and get so loaded. And we'd be drunk before we even got to the gig, and then we'd drink, and then, I have no idea why we're still alive, and we'd have so much fun. And then when we merged with, all of a sudden we're doing shows out here, and the guys from the city start coming out because they're making money with us. And you all wind up, you just get closer, You're working at the Fort Lauderdale comic strip. That's, you're staying in a condo with guys, and some of them are staying over longer, and some get there earlier, and that was bonding. I mean, that was crazy. That was a whorehouse and a half. It was amazing fun. It was probably more fun when the girls weren't there. You know what I mean? It was.
Oh, I don't need to know about that.
It was great. But it was an odd existence. When you're going to Nashville or the Knoxville. Or where was Shirley's in Kentucky? Louisville, Kentucky, and like whoa, But it was all fun. It really was. I probably painted it bleaker than it really was, but it was literally in Nashville. I can still remember I was with a guy and a girl that were like, I don't even know if they were a couple. But they played one of those crazy board games, not like Monopoly, one of those real involved.
Clue.
You know what I'm talking. One of those things, like almost like the
Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah,
like that
one
type
of those
stuff.
type
Yeah.
things,
Yeah.
and like I'm
Goes
like,
on
oh,
for
shoot
days.
me, So, but it was weird, and so many fun things happen, But it could drag on and on because if it was end to end. It wasn't worth coming home, so you get done on a Saturday or a Sunday, and you didn't start up till at the earliest Tuesday.
Right, right.
And it's not like you're out parading around the town, And so, but some people treated you like a god, and like when we were in Savannah and Augusta, Georgia, there was a guy who was a friend of the owners of the clubs, and he owned a chain of steak restaurants. So that was a melee, But that was the exception rather than the rule, So.
Who would you? I don't know if you can single it down to one person, but we're talking about somebody like Carrie. She's in it for 30 years. Finally gets a special. Again, I don't know if you can narrow it down to one person, but is there one person you can think of who you're shocked didn't never got that special, never became a household name. Again, I would think you could probably think of a million of those, but
Yeah. You know, because that all comes and goes, and you know, because there's so many people that were so funny, but you know, there's so much ego to it. You know, a lot of comics, especially, you know, we all know people that think the world owes them a living.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm good, and they can damn well come find me, and then they would have the ass for the people who went and found. You know, I mean, for years there were a lot of people that resented me because I got so lucky. I didn't get lucky. You know,
Oh, yeah,
if you're out on the highway and you're hitchhiking and you get picked up by somebody who just gives you $1 million, you wouldn't have got picked up if you weren't out there hitchhiking. You know what I mean? That's a stupid analogy, but the point is, you got to be in it to win it. You know, and it's a combination of luck. You know, it's being in the right place at the right time, but you got to do different things to get to, you know.
right, you paid your dues before you.
You know,
got there.
I was so. People say, "Oh, you're so lucky to meet Howard Stern," but it wasn't lucky. We sent out 400 sets of 3 comedy albums,
Right.
blindly. There was every chance he wouldn't even opened up the package, or it wouldn't even have gotten to him, or he never even paid attention to it.
Sure.
But we sent him, and there it was, and he opened it and decided, this guy. Look at this guy. He probably looked at it and said, "This guy must be good. He's got his own. He's got 3 albums."
Right.
All I had was albums I made myself.
Yeah.
You know, but nobody had that, because unless you were Bill Cosby or George Carlin, and who's not looking for a radio gig.
Right.
You know, here's a guy like, wow, maybe he thought I was somebody, which I certainly wasn't. But, you know, I had a nice looking business card. You know,
How much did it cost you to make one of those albums back then? Because I'm assuming you paid for it yourself, right?
my first album, me and Minervini started the show at Cinnamon, and the comics from the cities would be, you know, they started being excited about coming out and working for us, because instead of making $10 or $5 going from gig to gig in Manhattan, they'd get $40 or $50. They'd meet the waitresses. They'd get stoned. They'd get drunk. They'd get fed.
Right.
You know, so they'd pile in the car and come out, and we're doing these shows, and Richie would host, and it was my guitar amplifier and speakers, and I would close the show, you know, play the guitar, sing some songs, you know, parody songs, and
Right.
tell my jokes. And I came home after a couple months, and I said to my girlfriend, I said, they laughed at every joke. You know, I really should make an album. And she said, so make an album. So at the time, I was recording every show on cassette. I had a Knockem cassette player, and I had two microphones hanging in the crowd that went into the right side, the right channel, and I had a Y connector off my guitar amplifier. The vocal mic was in there, but it was an XLR plug that my friend at the studio that I worked at hooked up, so that fed the left channel. So it fed the vocal microphone, the amplifier, but it also fed the left side of. So the end result is the left side is my vocal,
Right.
and the right side is the crowd.
Like a
And-
Beatles album.
and
The
then-
vocal on
right.
one side, the
I was just
instrument
gonna
on the
say
other.
that. I'm
And
like,
then-
you're like the Beatles.
And then I'd mix it into a 2-track tape recorder that I actually, it belonged to my friend who won at cheating at cards in Vietnam, and this guy was the son of the championship jockey, which was the reason I was
Yeah,
in
your
Saratoga.
friend.
Everything
Yeah.
ties in.
Jeez.
So,
That is.
and I'd mix it, and I would ride the laughs up and chop it up with a razor blade.
Wow.
And I made 2 20-minute master tapes, you know, just mixing the cassette onto a reel-to-reel, edited myself with a razor blade and splicing tape.
That's amazing.
And when I first got the idea I was going to do it, I took a picture of my 8th grade class with me sitting there giving the finger, and I put it up on the first joke land, which is the attic of my mother's house, where I had the dial-a-joke 922 wine that's still going. And underneath the picture of me giving the finger, you know, the class picture, it was an actual class picture. I wrote, what did you expect? And people say, what's this? Oh, that's going to be the cover of my comedy album. And they're like, yeah, right, you know. And I borrowed $100 from 15 different people. I just came across some of the pieces of stock, like my mother's piece of stock. I actually made, you know, on our off our rockers letterhead. This is good for one.
Right.
Someday
5 free hugs.
Someday this will be worth $4. And I borrowed $1,500, and I sent. That's probably what it cost. $1,200, $1,500.
Okay.
I sent the money, and the 2 masters. Comedy. I didn't get a master or anything. These were just literally the tapes with the splices, and if they fell apart, who knows what would have happened. This is we were guerrillas making stuff.
Yeah.
So it's the two master tapes, the picture of my class album,
Right.
a couple other pictures, dummy phone song titles, dirty song titles that I've been telling for 10 years. That to this day, if you go on like Snap or not Snap or whatever it's called,
Crackle.
Whatever those are, Pandora and stuff like
Spotify or
that.
something.
It's
Yeah.
like
iTunes.
they're the names of cuts.
Right.
The song titles had nothing to do with what was on those tapes. That each tape was 20 minutes long of joke stuck together.
Right.
And so I sent the copy for the back, the picture for the front, and the title in the font that I chose, and to make it even crazier, I get so. When I was in the band, we came up with this thing called the number system. I came up with this thing called the number system, which had gotten so out of hand by the end of the 70s. It was huge. And there was a guy who was a big fan of the band who printed out this number system. He worked at a print shop, and he printed out the number system on a piece of paper so big that folded in 1/6. In other words, you fold it in half
Right.
and then fold it in thirds. It was exactly the size that would fit inside an album cover.
Okay.
Believe it or not, he made 1,000 of them, and me and Nancy folded 1,000 number systems and paid, I think it was an extra 3 cents an album to have them insert. So you not only got the album, you got this number system that nobody, believe me, could have cared less about. You got the album and the number system, and I sent them the money and the tape, and they sent back a rough of the outside. Right, that's fine. And I can remember the rush driving to Port Authority to pick up the 1,000 albums. You would have thought I was picking up quintuplets.
Right. Right.
And I had my 1,000 albums, and I couldn't have been. I can't even describe how ecstatic it was. And of course, everybody made fun of me because I was always the guy who was hustling. I was always the guy with the things on the table to fill out your name and address for the mailing list and call 9221 and blah blah blah. I was the little pig that was building the brick shit house. And I was so excited. And like when I went down to Fort Lauderdale, I'm standing there at the door after the show, or I got Pips or whatever. I'd get, the show'd be over, and I'd be at the door with my albums, selling my albums for $5, and the other guys would be goofing on me.
And that's why it's not like, it's not luck. You worked
Right.
really
So
hard to get that.
but here I'm
And
selling
everybody
these
does it now.
albums, and now you can't go to a show
Yeah.
without somebody selling stuff. But they're making fun of me, and all of a sudden they realize, wait a minute, we each made $50 tonight, and he made 50 more because he sold 10 albums.
Right.
Maybe he's not a moron, And I sent the albums everywhere, and the stories still abound. This is 40 years ago. Of course, 9221 was all over the back of it, and my friend Bill said, hey, what are you going to do if nothing comes about from this album? I said, well, I'll make another one.
Right.
And then I made another one called Going Ape, which is a whole nother story. And then that was at the East Side. And then I got Governors, and I made Normal People you don't know that well. That was a whole Rodney Joance's story. So I had 3 albums by 1982, and you paid them by hook or by crook. That was the famous story. I tried to borrow money from Rodney, and he didn't respond,
Right.
and then Howard had me owing the money.
Right.
But it's all funny.
Yeah.
And it just was one foot in front of the other, and all of a sudden here, you should look up this guy that's moving to NBC, and that's why I sent my 3 records to Howard Stern, care NBC. I know who he was. We sent them to everybody.
Sure.
If I ran into you on the street and you said, oh, we have a radio show at a comedy club, well, here's my album, or give me your address. I'd get the
Right.
address because that way I'd have your
Mailing address.
address for the mailing list, and so luck favored the prepared.
Yeah.
But there was no way I was caught. There was no way I would have had the money to do that had I not borrowed $100 from each person. And then the actual $1,000 I did borrow from Rodney was to reprint the album, because I sold a lot of them, but I gave so many of them away.
Which you have to. You have to to get them for somebody to notice. But
the number system is a hoot. I'll send it to you. It's like
I'd love to see that.
For 6 months, my whole life I worked construction, and me and this guy JR, he kidnapped me out of Michigan State because there was skeletons in the closet from my ex-girlfriend. I worked overtime to get her to move out, and then she moved out, and I fell apart. Like most guys are so full of shit, So we go to work, and at the time, Denver was on fire. I mean, there was a help wanted sign in every store. I mean, the place was building like crazy. We got a job working construction.
What year was that? Like how long ago?
73.
Okay.
It was in the summer of 73 we drove out there. And the first place we went, we got a job at a construction company working cement. And so we're breaking up driveways, and sometimes they put in a driveway or a sidewalk, but they do it before it's settled, and it would crack. And they couldn't sell a new house with a cracked driveway.
Sure. Or it'd be
we
uneven.
would break up the driveway with sledgehammers and load the cement into the truck and go unload it. And after a week or two of this, it's like, we can't do this. And they said, well, you're not going to advance unless you have tools. And we went out to Sears and bought a little sledgehammer and a level and all the stuff on the belt, everything you needed. And we came and said, all right, we want to be form setters. And we became form setters that set sidewalks in developments that they were developing. And it was me and my big fat friend JR, this crazy pothead. And then two of my other friends moved out from New York. And there was already 4 guys from New York living in a condo. We had 8 guys from the same hometown in New York living in Cherry Creek, Colorado. And it's kind of hard to believe. And then me and JR worked for this company, and the other 2 guys from New York. We had 4 guys from the same hometown in New York working on the same crew.
That's wild.
And we're like a 22-year-old Colorado gentle kid who's our foreman, who I should write a book about how we tortured this guy. He was out of his mind. But here we are, 4 guys that we're smart. So we advanced quick enough that we got to be where we were form setters, setting the string and putting in the forms, and then they'd come pour the concrete.
Right.
And you'd be just ahead of, 2 yards, 2 streets behind you, the houses are done, and 2 streets in front of you, they're just digging the hole for this. You know what I mean? It's
wow.
Yeah.
And so we're doing this, and we're all good guys, but we have no idea what we're doing. And if you're an electrician, you take the screwdriver out of your pocket and you screw in the screw, and you put the screwdriver back in the socket where it goes, so it's there the next time. But you don't know that going in, right? And also, we're always so hungover, we had no idea what we're doing. So here we are, 4 guys working construction, and you knock in a nail and put down your hammer and then go, and every 2 minutes somebody'd say, "Where's my hammer?" And somebody would go, if it was up your ass, you'd know where it was.
Right.
And after X amount of weeks of this, you're getting a little stir crazy because you're going to hear that. And plus everybody's hitting their hand, hitting their fingers, or hitting their knee because we're hungover.
Yeah.
And somebody say, "Ow!" And somebody go, "Your face is killing me." And after a certain amount of time, I just stood up, and I swear to God, I said, "All right, that is it. From now on, I don't want to hear where is the hammer. Just say number 1. And don't say your face is killing me. Say number 2. And it grew crazy. To this day, if I say to somebody in my family, "Where's my coat?" I'll look, and they'll be giving me a number 1.
Right.
60 years later, it was phenomenal. And then it got to where, when I played in the band, 39 was "Get me a beer." And if the people in the crowd saw that I was almost done with my beer, they'd all yell 39.
Right.
I mean, it was pretty crazy.
That's cool, though.
But once it went away, nobody else had any idea what it meant, and it didn't mean anything to anybody. You know, 105 that's what the girl said on the picnic, or that's what my first wife, oh, wow, it's hard to get this in here. 105,
So after all, you're just talking,
And it
you're
just-
saying numbers to each other. 2,
right.
6, 8, 3,
and it
7,
got
2.
so crazy. It was so much fun. And so that was part of the whole album thing, the whole transition. That was like part of not letting go of the whole Off Our Rockers band thing. And it was, it's very simple. It very easily nothing might have, maybe nothing would have happened, but maybe if I hadn't have bumped into Howard, I would have figured another way to make something happen, because there's no way I was getting a job.
Right.
I was going to do show business, whether I wound up a DJ or a host. Or, who
Right.
knows? People say, oh, what could you have done? I said, what do you mean? I did the most, I was writing jokes on the fly for the funniest guy on radio. That's a little bit difficult.
Yeah, a
It's
little
not like
bit.
I set the bar low to get away with anything.
People, it's funny. People that don't have any, that have never played an instrument or never told a joke or never got in front of a camera or in front of people, they really have no idea what it takes to make a living.
to do it,
To do
it's
it.
hard to do bad.
Well, right.
I mean,
to do it at all.
To get,
Yeah, they really have they really think it's easy, and then they think, and then after you just
like
go to a party,
you're getting away with your life.
right?
Right.
They have no idea that you're out there for filming a series or a movie.
But
16
meanwhile,
hour
we all
days on
go
a
into
set.
it to think, well, what a holiday this is going to be. We're going to get drunk and get lots of pussy and make money and not work hard. And all of a sudden you realize pretty quick,
It's a lot of
Yeah,
work. It's
yeah,
a lot of
I'm
hours. Like people
laughing
that
at-
have regular jobs, they come home, it's 5, 6 o'clock at night, they're
Yeah.
done. Like
right.
it
I'm
never
laughing
ends. There's
I'm-
always something more to send out. There's always something more to think about.
Yeah, I'm
something more to
laughing at
write.
commuters who are getting up at 7 in the morning driving to the city. And meanwhile, I wind up getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning driving to the city,
Right,
But
right.
you never think of that because you don't think of yourself as a commuter. You think of yourself as a guy in show business, but I have to get to the city. And it's like, you idiot,
Yeah.
It's fun.
And almost every time you hear Bartlett's name comes up a lot. Was it ever weird? Because probably not. But with Howard and Imus having their feud, Bartlett working for Imus, you working for Howard.
We never ever ran into each other.
Oh,
ever.
really?
Oh, yeah. Once I was on the Stern Show, I never ran into the other comics. Like when I worked comedy, I missed it so bad because, I'd go to Chicago or I'd go to Nashville or to Phoenix, but you're headlining, and
Yeah.
the people that are on the show are not people you know.
Yeah.
They're local DJs or they're local comics. There was no more not that you didn't have a camaraderie with them, but it wasn't with the old guys. You never saw the old guys again. I go decades without seeing Bartlett.
No
I always
kidding, yeah.
loved him. I still love him.
Yeah, I haven't. I haven't even seen his name lately. I don't know where.
Well, he's
where
around.
doing. Yeah, is he? Okay.
Well, I used to go in and do Bernie and Sid once in a while, and they just said, their boss said, "Oh, no more comedy. We don't blah blah blah." And then you see comics around there. So I don't know what the story is, but I used to go on there, and they were so good to me. And I would run into Bartlett once in a while there, And I don't know if he was still on Imus. I don't know what he was doing. The Sid and Bernie thing. Once in a while, something great happens. Like I knew Sid for the last 40 years from Florida. And he'd get fired up here, and all kinds of crazy stuff. Sid Rosenberg is the guy who was on the phone with Imus when Imus made his infamous crack that got him
Right.
bounced off the air about the black basketball players. And I called him up or texted him, whatever, and I said, Sid, I got a show to promote. Listen, why don't you let me call in with a few jokes and promote my gig? And he says, all right. So I called in and told about 5 jokes, and they went nuts, him and Bernard, who was an intern when I started on the Stern Show the first day. That's how far.
Right.
And I got this bright idea. I said, and I wrote Sid a text. I said, listen, why don't I call in or come in on Friday and tell 5 jokes for the weekend and promote whatever I'm doing, and call Jackie on Friday or Jackie's 5 on Friday, and the people hear the jokes, and they got jokes to tell all weekend. And where'd you hear that joke? Oh, I heard it on Sid and Bernie, so everybody wins.
Yeah.
But, I spent my whole life coming up with ideas like this, and now I open up my phone, and he's already tweeting that were doing it. I'm like, whoa, that never happens. You run an idea past somebody 100 times. So we did it for however long, and then one day it's like, we got to cut it back to 3 jokes from 5, and then all of a sudden we got to cut it back to once a month, and then they had to cut it back to not at all. And I'm like, we're diametrically opposed politically. I hate Trump, and they're his boys, but we never discussed it. It had nothing to do with that. And they said, the guy, people are tuned in for sports. They don't hear comedy. I was like, there's not a guy that follows sports that doesn't like my jokes.
Right,
Right.
absolutely right.
Yeah,
but that went away. But for a little while, that was a great thing. But it turns out nobody's listening. And they got a great show on 660 in the morning. Mm-hmm. Nobody's listening. And everybody that comes in, every manager, the new radio manager, they're rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. There's 4 people listening. How can we get it up to 5? Well, maybe let's get rid of the guy that tells the jokes. Who knows?
Yeah, right. Who knows?
But it was fun at the time. I loved it. I'd take the train in, and they're right upstairs, and then get on the train and come home.
That is great. That's convenient.
But that's where I saw. I ran to Bartlett maybe 3 times there. I don't know what he was doing. I don't think Imus was still. I never knew. I knew nothing about Imus or anything like that. I know he insulted Bartlett a lot. But Howard insulted me a lot. That was his job on the show,
Sure.
So where they actually stood, and he was pretty shitty to Bernard too. So I never got to the bottom line of, people always wonder where it stops and starts. Is it 50% kidding? Is it 90%
Is it
kidding?
real?
Is it
Yeah.
100%
Never really
kidding?
know.
Or do they really despise each?
Right.
But not knowing is the interesting.
Right, that's what keeps them coming back.
That's the game.
Right, which was, I think, part of the lure of when you guys were on regular radio, because how far can you push it? How what's real? And then kind of going to satellite, you lose a lot of that edge because you don't have to. There's not as many
rules.
borders.
Yeah, you're playing football with no lines. Hey, listen, I want to make sure that I mentioned that I'm doing this. This Cameo.com, which is so fun. I got like 25 reviews, and they're all 5-star reviews.
Oh, nice.
Because this thing is made, tell a dirty joke and say happy birthday to my uncle. I mean, I'm made to do that. 20, 30, 40-second commercial.
You're
And
getting
that's
50 bucks
basically
for
what it is. So if you go to Cameo.com/Jackie Martling, I'll tell a dirty joke or a clean joke to your kid, or say happy birthday. Or a couple of people said, wish my friend Ernie congratulations on his divorce, and you tell a divorce joke, and the guys are like dancing. It's like the funniest thing in the world,
That's so funny.
So that's exciting.
Cameo.com, that's where you can find Jackie Martling, and 922-WINE.
516-922-WINE, and it's 41st year.
41st year. That is something, man.
Is that crazy? I love when people say, oh, yeah, I used to call you a line. I say, well, dial it right now. And they dial it, and it sounds exactly the same as it did 40 years ago.
I remember, so 41 years ago, so I would be 9. I was 9? Am I doing the right math? Whatever. I was around 9 or 10. But I remember calling it as a kid.
Did I tell you the story about my book deal? I tried so hard to get a book deal, and I finally gave up. And then
We're talking back then?
No, now.
Oh, now.
And this girl I know said, look, there's this great guy, Peter Steinberg, and he said he might publish your book. And at the time I had a couple deals going. I said, well, I think I got this covered. And then, of course, they fell through, and I said, is he still interested? So we go out to lunch. He says, yeah, we're definitely going to publish your book. When he was a little kid, and try and imagine how young he had to be, he just had acquired the gist of what a phone is, that you push numbers and you get to talk to somebody.
Wow.
But he had no place, he didn't know anybody. Of course, he was too young to have friends and know what and he saw 516-922-WINE with the number underneath it, maybe in the newspaper under the governor's ad, it's a 516-922-9463. My dirty dial joke was the first phone call he made in his life.
I love this story.
Oh, you heard the story?
No, I just love it. You telling it right now. No, I've never heard it.
How you who could make that up?
Right.
You know,
No,
I've
that's awesome.
written back to him a couple times. Said, "Is that a true story?" Because whenever I tell it, I feel like
Yeah.
even if it was one of the first calls you ever made, it's a good story. He said, "No, it was the first time
First
I
one
dialed
he
the phone."
dialed. I mean, he probably obviously was handed the phone to talk to his grandma 1,000 times, but to actually be the
Right.
first
Be
time
the
making it.
the dialer. you
Yeah,
know.
Yeah.
that's an awesome story.
I love that
That's
story.
great.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right, well, there you go. It's a little after 1. We thank you guys for hanging with us today, being patient as we had that little power issue. But as always, we had a great time with Jackie. Thank you, Carrie, for coming in. Check out her men flaws and menopause special on Crackle TV, and it's all free, so you can download the Crackle app and
That's
watch Carrie's
very
special.
cool. And all my gigs with the connection links for tickets and everything. I'm working like the next 3 Saturday nights in a row.
Oh, nice.
Not in a row. The next 3 Saturdays in a row. All the information is on jokeland.com. And I did a great podcast with this guy last night. And I told him, I tell people, if you email me, you'll definitely hear back, because I have a guy that answers all my emails, me. And it's so
great.
funny because
Guy's
I
name
get
is
so
Jack.
many emails. People say, "Oh yeah, let's see if you answer this," and I go, "Well, I did."
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to say hello or yell at me or complain,
How long does it usually take for them to hear back from you? Days, weeks, hours?
if I get 5 or 10, the next day usually.
okay, okay.
Sometimes I don't go out to the garage to my computer because I feel I'm lazy and But they don't lull there for weeks. It's,
The computers, you don't have a computer in the house?
yeah, but I
You
like
don't have
just
like
for
a
porn.
laptop?
No, I have my iPad, but I like to answer
Right.
actually on the computer because that way I save the addresses and I put
Oh,
it
okay.
in my mail order program. And,
Okay, that makes sense.
and,
Sure.
and my laptop got so old
Yeah.
that who could keep up? They made me buy one that was a Mac, and so they made it half Mac and half
Windows?
Windows, and it's just oh Jesus Christ,
Right.
I'm the first techie. I'm the first guy with his own album and Dial-A-Joke. I was so ahead of the curve, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden the curve passed me like a boomerang.
It's so fast.
Take
Things
that,
happen
Steve
so
Jobs.
So
fast.
email me, Jokeland, speaking of behind the curve, Jokeland at AOL.com.
Very nice.
Nice.
And I would love it.
What are you doing for your birthday? Any plans yet?
I'm working at Comedy Club,
nice.
And then, the Sunday after, whatever date, the 16th, that's when,
You'll celebrate.
yeah, me and my girlfriend have
Naked
a steak
activity.
or something, maybe. At this point, it's the family, you see my sister and fuck around with my sister and my goddaughter's twins that are just the light of our lives, so
Very nice.
doesn't get too exciting,
I like it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. Everybody have a great weekend. Don't forget Mike Yard is here this weekend at Governors in Levittown. John Ziegler, Cypher Sounds, Petey DeBro, and, of course, Anthony Rodia playing at all the Governors Comedy Clubs. Don't forget Thursday, January 30th, you can catch us, Knockem Dead Comedy at 317 Main. What's today? Friday. So don't forget tomorrow night, Put Up, Shut Up, or Stand Up with Don Sill. Our pal Andy Plaganos going up against Dana McAllister. Anthony Rodia and Jeff Gurian will be here as the judges. You're coming on that show in a few weeks, I believe. I thought I heard that.
Washing his
22nd.
birthday.
Okay, so that'll be the 20th or 22nd?
22nd.
22nd, okay. So very nice. So join Don for that show on Saturday night. That's at 7 o'clock. And then that's it until Monday. There is no Breakfast Club on Monday,
No,
correct?
they're every other Saturday.
No, Breakfast Club. Breakfast Club. There is no Breakfast Club on Monday?
I thought you said Saturday for some reason.
I said Breakfast Club on Monday.
There is no Breakfast Club on Monday.
No Breakfast
So
Club
no
this Monday.
Diners Club on Thursday? Is that the deal?
Oh,
I
sorry.
met that guy Don. He's a very nice guy. I met him the other night.
Oh, yeah, at the party, yeah.
Him and his girlfriend watched me have 5 helpings of chicken parmesan.
Well, yeah, he's a comedy encyclopedia. He studies it. He knows all about, Fred Allen, like he was one who told me, is that the guy's name, Fred Allen, from way back?
There's a lot of guys from way back. Fred Allen's
but-
great.
Yeah, you know who I'm talking about. He was a big time guy. Fred
Yeah,
Allen,
he's the guy who swore that Rickles stole his act.
Oh, is that right? So that I didn't know.
No, he's a big,
Oh, wow.
big fat Fred. He was the guy that insulted everybody.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
but
that's new comedy, insulting people.
Right.
you know.
Well, true.
Yeah.
But anyway, Don was thrilled to meet you. So I'm sure he was just enamored in watching you eat.
Yeah, instead of watching comics compete, we should just sit up there and talk old show business. That'd be much more fun.
Well, we can do both.
You know what? I will just do that. Take your act, go home and work on it. We're going to talk.
Throw them out. All right, so catch that Saturday at 7.
Sorry again.
We'll be back Monday morning at 11 o'clock, and I hope everybody has a great weekend, and we'll see you Monday. See ya.